For all the Jural Assemblies 58 reading the constitutions correctly. May 17, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. Most Americans have been taught to revere the constitutions. Generations of military and civil service workers have been indoctrinated to defend the Constitution, whichever one they work under, from all enemies foreign and domestic. Many Americans mistakenly think that their rights come from the constitutions, but in fact, the constitutions merely limit the federal government so that the people can enjoy their freedoms unencumbered by government. Most Americans don't know that there are three constitutions: the actual federal constitution called the Constitution for the United States of America, the Territorial Constitution called the Constitution of the United States of America, and the Municipal Constitution called the Constitution of the United States. Many people also assume that everyone in this country is protected under the constitutions, but this has never been so. Territorial citizens known as United States citizens, and municipal United States citizens known as citizens of the United States have never enjoyed any constitutional guarantees. That's why when you are acting as a United States citizen, or citizen of the United States, you are told that the Constitution doesn't apply. It doesn't. And that's just one reason that U.S. citizenship is not a prized status. Another wrong assumption is that the constitutions are so special and sacred, when in fact, they are just commercial services agreements mandated as part of the settlement of the War of Independence. If you read the Definitive Treaty of Peace 1783, you will see that exactly the same verbiage is used in the constitutions. When you see the words as in Article 1 Section 2, Clause 2, no person, legal person, municipal officer, not acting as one of the people, citizen of the United States, federal civil service employee, an inhabitant, temporary foreign resident, of that state, this is all language directly derived from the Definitive Treaty of Peace 1783, and has all the same meanings. With these meanings in place, this is how Article 1 Section 2, Clause 2 actually reads. No municipal United States officer shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years, and been 7 years a citizen of the municipal United States, and who shall not, when elected, be a temporary foreign resident of that state in which he shall be chosen. This is telling you the requirements that foreign municipal United States officers acting as citizens of the United States, the municipal government, have to meet before they can be elected to represent the other citizens of the United States living on a temporary basis in one of our states of the Union. It says nothing at all about us or about us being represented in their municipal Congress, nothing about us at all. It is talking about the internal affairs of the foreign municipal government and its citizenry that is on our shores to provide us with the services of the municipal federal civil service. Our states agreed to receive certain enumerated services from the respective service providers doing business as the States of America, the United States of America, and the United States. These are just doing business as names of commercial corporations in the business of providing essential government services per Article 4. They are acting for our actual American government and operating under our delegated power, so they are acting in our names, but the United States of America is not the same as the United States of America, and the United States is not the same as the United States. The constitutions apply within their separate jurisdictions. The Federal Constitution, the Constitution for the United States of America, which is supposed to be administered by the States of America, the missing Confederation of States, is an international land jurisdiction contract between the land jurisdiction states of the Union and the people inhabiting those states, and the Confederation of States that are supposed to be working for our states of the Union. The Territorial Constitution, the Constitution of the United States of America, is an international sea jurisdiction contract between the land jurisdiction states of the Union and the British Territorial United States, the Queen. The Municipal Constitution, the Constitution of the United States, is a global air jurisdiction contract between the land jurisdiction states of the Union and the Roman Pontiff, the Pope in his secular office. The only place for these three principalities to meet on common ground is on the international jurisdiction of the land, with the vessels of the Queen being dry-docked, and the airships of the Pope similarly being moored upon our shores. You can begin to see why the sudden disappearance of the Confederation doing business as the States of America caused such disruption in the federal government. There was suddenly no established and agreed-upon dock, no tie-down to conduct business on the land jurisdiction. And everyone conveniently forgot that by operation of law, all the powers delegated under the Federal Constitution immediately reverted directly back to the states of the Union. Nobody told us, the people, what was going on. So there was a problem that needed to be fixed, a confederation of states that needed to be reconstructed by the states, but instead of being forthright about this problem, the other contractors closed ranks and chose to use the situation as an excuse to usurp upon our lawful government. The British territorial government deceitfully substituted its own territorial states for our federal states. That worked out so well for them that eventually the municipal United States government also got into the act and substituted its states for their states of states in order to expedite mutual pillaging and plundering under presumed trust agreements. They claimed in breach of trust that our government had inexplicably disappeared, was missing, presumed lost, that our government was held in abeyance, and most recently, that our entire continent was abandoned. According to them, there were no actual Americans left, just citizens of the United States and United States citizens, ready to duke it out on our soil to determine which group of dishonest and disloyal foreign employees would take over our country. That is what they had planned, another big civil war on our soil, with millions of deaths of innocent Americans, who are their actual priority creditors, and billions in profits from reaping life insurance policies placed on their victims, and all the abandoned assets up for grabs. America would have been just another banana republic, and the Pope and the Queen would have laughed all the way to the bank, except for the fact that Americans began waking up out of their trusting slumber, reading the history, and raising hell in diplomatic circles, exposing their gross breach of trust and commercial contract, exposing a century and a half spent pillaging and plundering the states and people they are supposed to protect. The constitutions are multinational treaties and commercial contracts which have been severely compromised and undermined by foreign banking and commercial interests. There is nothing sacred about them but the public trust that has been plundered and eroded. The perpetrators of these evils, these lies, these sins of omission, have used and abused our armed services to promote wars for profit around the globe. They have used and abused the resources of America to promote their own vicious and self-serving agendas, to profit themselves at our expense, and to promote such criminality worldwide. They have promoted the rule of law and ignored the law itself. When the federal states failed, the powers delegated to them returned by operation of law to the delegator, the United States of America, its member states, and the people of those states. All the federal assets that survived the Civil War also returned to our ownership, but were retained by the office of the Alien Property Custodian and administered by the states of states and later by the states of states as state trusts. Today, the office of the Alien Property Custodian has been collapsed and the duties have been inherited by the United States Attorney General. His office has been borrowing large amounts of money against our assets to fund the bailout of the big banks that are largely responsible for defrauding Americans and causing the mortgage crisis, racketeering, and embezzlement. As collateral damage, millions of Americans have been thrown out of their homes by employees of these foreign corporations operating under false legal presumptions on our shores. It is more than past time for us to wake up and see the constitutions for what they are, blueprints for a government under contract to provide our states with certain essential governmental services which haven't properly functioned or been respected by our subcontractors for a century and a half. By falsely presuming that our American government is missing and by further falsely presuming that our people are all somehow magically transformed without their knowledge or consent into either Confederate enemies in a mercenary war that ended 150 years ago, or United States citizens owing allegiance to the British Queen, or municipal citizens of the United States owing allegiance to the Pope, these monsters have contrived to excuse their abuse of the people and the states that they are hired and under contract to protect. They have prepared to wage yet another mercenary war on our shores, buying billions of rounds of ammunition and setting up over 800 FEMA concentration camps, and arming their clueless American subcontractors to the teeth. They anticipated murdering millions of us and removing our native population off the land our forefathers won, just as the Queen's filthy government removed the native Irish and the Native Americans. We are facing the Raj on one side, and the Pope's minions on the other. There is power in knowledge and numbers and diplomacy and in exposure of these verminous plots against the American states and people. There are still millions of good, law-abiding, American state nationals and American state citizens, and our government is alive, well, and functioning according to our common law, which is the law of peace and the law of love. There are still billions of good people worldwide, who are willing to help put an end to this criminality which has spread like a cancer throughout the world. Read the constitutions in the light provided by the definitive Treaty of Paris, 1783. Read them for what they are, multinational treaties and commercial service contracts that have been breached and undermined by the purposeful inculcation of false legal presumptions about us and our government. There is nothing sacred about these documents. Their only importance is as meal tickets to the federal employees that depend upon them for a livelihood. And perhaps more to the point, these service contracts have been badly breached and dishonored, and both the Queen's government and the Pope's government are under demand to correct their operations on our shores, and to return our assets as truth, honor, and justice requires, free of debt or encumbrance.